When I said this draft would be all about Carson Wentz, boy did I not know how true those words were. Yo everybody, how you doing? King Dingbat here. So today we have come with the hell is that? It's a big ass dog. Dallas still stinks. Yo everybody, how you doing? King Dingbat here. And you know, when I said that this draft was all about Carson Wentz, I had no idea to what level those words would ring true, because I never in a million years could have anticipated what happened in the second round. I was purely talking about providing Carson Wentz with weapons and guys to stretch the field, and that guys that can run and guys can do all those things. And they did do that, but they did something much more monumental, something in some ways are unthinkable. The Eagles took a quarterback in the second round of the draft. They have a franchise quarterback they just paid huge money to, who's only just turned 27, was it November or December? He's going to be 27 all year next year. He's in the prime of his career, and they took a quarterback in the second round. And look, the way it is in football, you don't draft a quarterback in the first or second round if you don't expect him to play at some point. That's just the way it is. It's the way it is. So, yes, it was shocking. It was shocking. And let me say this. I think Jalen Hurts is a fantastic talent. I think he's a great guy, a great team leader, a great talent. I can see why any team would want him. I can see why any team would be attracted to want to bring him in. The guy has an opportunity to be a really good player in this league. And I think that's kind of the problem. You see, if he was just going to be somebody who maybe wasn't as talented, they took later in the draft, you don't really see it as a threat. You don't see it as a threat to Carson Wentz. But what happens is when the Eagles take Jalen Hurts in the second round, all eyes go to Carson Wentz. All eyes are now focused on Carson. All we're talking about is Carson Wentz. He's sitting at home in North Dakota somewhere, rubbing his wife's pregnant belly, trying to pop that baby out. And all of a sudden he looks around and everybody's looking at him. Everybody's looking at him. I mean, he must have been shocked. I mean, I know he talked to Howie beforehand, but even in that conversation, he must have been like, they're going to take a quarterback instead of maybe get me a second round wide receiver to go along with my first round wide receiver. You get me Denzel Mims, but you're going to go quarterback. You could have traded up for CeeDee Lamb and thrown that second round pick in, and it wouldn't hurt you. But they took a quarterback. And it's shocking. And a lot of people have began to agree with this move and think that this move is a great move. And look, it's a risky move. This could turn out to be maybe the worst pick in Eagles franchise history. This could turn out to be maybe the smartest pick in Eagles franchise history. I understand the idea that you want to have stability at the quarterback position. That if Carson gets hurt, who has been hurt before, goes out, you have somebody that can come in and play. You're not paying them a lot of money like you would a veteran quarterback. He's there for 3-4 years or whatever. But it's going to create problems nonetheless. I mean, I don't think Howie Roseman, I think they underestimated what people's reaction would be and how people would feel about them taking Hurts in the second round. I don't think they realized it. When I hear him talk, I don't think he realized to what magnitude. I mean, we're already hearing controversy already. And get ready, because the controversy is not going anywhere, okay? You thought when the Folesian Society turned out the lights that it was over. Well, it's back again. They are reborn. They are reborn. They got their lights on. They got their Pope is there pushing out the smoke. It's happening. And here's the thing. I think Jalen Hurts could be a great quarterback. That's the problem. That's the problem. Because what's going to happen is Carson, let's say he goes out, he gets hurt, he has a concussion game. This kid goes in and lights it up. You have an instant quarterback controversy. Carson will have to look over his shoulder for the next 4 or 5 years. Okay? They're also, in some ways, you got to admit this. By taking Jalen Hurts, they Yes, it's an insurance policy, but they're kind of betting that Carson's going to get hurt again. They're kind of banking on that. That's why they took the kid. Okay? They can talk about, we're going to use him like the Saints use Hill and things like that. We're going to use him in those packages. I'm sure they will. However, that can only be a small part of why they did this. I mean, we're already hearing stories that the Eagles were pissed off when Carson took himself out of the Seattle Seahawks game because of a concussion, and they weren't happy with that. And look, I don't know if that's true, and who the hell knows? All I know is the NFL tells these players, hey, if you think you have a concussion, take yourself out. You got to be able to take yourself out of games, and this is what you should be doing. They promote it, the guy does it, they hate it. They get pissed off. It is what it is, But if they were really that pissed off for him and that made them draft this kid here, it's risky, man. And look, it is what it is. I would never have done this. I never in a million years would have taken a quarterback in the second round. If he was 32 years old, I get it. But in the second round, when you have a quarterback in your prime, I couldn't have done it. There was too many good players. You could have had a starting corner, a starting linebacker, starting another wide receiver. You could have gotten that at that pick, but they took a quarterback. And like I said, this is nothing to do with Jalen Hurts, okay? He is a good player, and that's what makes this whole thing very controversial, because he has the talent enough to come in and develop. You don't know how good he's going to be. He could very well push Carson Wentz out the door. All I'm trying to say is the Eagles didn't take him just for insurance. They didn't just take him to basically do what the Saints do with Hill. They took him because they don't have enough faith that Carson Wentz can stay healthy. That's the truth. That's why they took him. They hope he does, and they're going to give him every opportunity to, and they're not going to take his starting job away or anything like that. But if the way the Eagles must see this is, hey, look, in 2 or 3 years, when Carson Wentz, if he's still getting hurt and he's still in the same situation, he hasn't gone deep in the playoffs, hasn't won for us, and this kid develops, hey, we'll have an option then to let him go and go on to this kid. We'll bring him around. And if Carson is successful and wins trophies and isn't going anywhere, then maybe we could trade this kid for a high pick. That's what they're thinking. And look, it's risky. It's not necessarily right or wrong. It's risky. Personally, I wouldn't have done it. I would have given Carson every opportunity. When I hear, hey, we got to put the best possible weapons around Carson Wentz, I think the best possible prospects, the highest possible picks. You could have traded that second, got CeeDee Lamb. Could have traded him 16. Okay, you could have took Denzel Mims. You could have took Fulton. There's a lot of guys you could have. Espinenza was there right after. You could have gotten a pass rusher. So it's very hard for me to understand the pick. Like, I couldn't have done it. However, I think we have to be real with ourselves. We have to be realistic and say, look, this team did this because Carson has been hurt so many times, and because they want to have an insurance policy to their investment. They've put a lot of money in him, a lot of draft picks, and if he doesn't pan out, if he gets hurt again, they don't want to be stuck with Nate Sudfeld. They want to have somebody to come and replace, and I get that. And on that level, I understand it, but I just wish they could have done it later. I wish they could have given him the best possible prospect to make him the most successful. I feel like they're saying, we think he might get hurt again. We want to be prepared this time. And it's an insurance policy for it. That's why I think they're doing this, okay? And when I listen to Howie Roseman, I listen to all his reasoning, that's what it comes down to. It always comes back to that, and he keeps bringing up Russell Wilson, but I don't see it like that. I don't see it like that. I think that their hope is that Carson Wentz comes in, kicks ass, double moonwalks everybody's ass, the North Dakota assassin, stays healthy, wins Super Bowls, they get Jalen Hurts, they can trade him for first. I think that's what they hope. Okay, that's one of their case scenarios. But if Carson gets hurt next year, if he gets hurt the year after that, hey, when the time comes, They're going to move him. They got themselves a young quarterback. Because look, this kid's, well, he's going to be there, 4 years, something like that. Then he's going to want to go start somewhere. You don't draft a second-round quarterback to be a backup, a career backup. You draft a guy in the second round to eventually be a starter. He is going to want to start. So if it ain't with the Eagles in the first 4 years, okay, he's not going to sign a second contract with the Eagles. They're going to trade him. And if he's not any good and he doesn't show anything, they're going to let him go. And if Carson gets hurt or stuff, they're going to push this kid in. He's going to be the guy. The thing with those fans that we're going to have to deal with, the thing that's going to be annoying is week one, watching the game, Carson overthrows somebody. Put the rookie in, put Hurts in. Carson's having a bad game. Put Hurts in. This is it. We're right back to that. And you wonder, what does Carson think? Is he looking over his shoulder this whole time? Is he going to be looking over his shoulder? And believe me, you don't look over your shoulder with Nate Sudfeld. But this kid is talented. And when I talk like this, it's because I think this kid is very talented. He's very, very talented. He could be very good. He could be very, very good quarterback. Who knows? We're going to find out in a few years. We won't know if this was really the dumbest draft pick in history or the best draft pick in history. It's a way I would not have gone, but I think we got to be honest with ourselves. They're not just bringing him in for insurance and that's it. They're bringing him in because they have some doubts that Carson can stay healthy in the long term. It's just the way it is. Now, maybe this motivates Carson Wentz to a point where he comes out next year and he tears it up. Maybe having somebody push him will be a good thing. Iron sharpens iron, right? We say that all the time. Maybe it ruins him. Maybe he can't handle it. Well, if he can't handle it, then he's not going to handle it no matter what. But so far, it looks like he's handling it fine. And we're going to see. Now, I think next year, this kid is probably going to be the third quarterback. So they're going to constantly dress 3 quarterbacks, right? So we're going to lose a spot on that roster every week because they're going to dress 3 quarterbacks. He'll probably be the third quarterback. They'll probably use him in all sorts of packages. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting. This team is always interesting, no matter, even when they do something that you don't understand. I don't understand this pick. I have a hard time agreeing with it, but I understand the logic. After a few days of think, I understand the logic, but there's no way in hell I would have made this move. But if it turns out and it works out, Howie will look like a genius. And how will it work out? There's only 2 ways. One, you trade him somewhere down the road for a first-round pick and you get something really high on your investment. Or 2, Carson fails and he leaves. And then this kid comes in and becomes your franchise quarterback. So, in some ways, it feels like the Eagles are betting on Carson Wentz to fail. That's what I don't like. That's the biggest problem I have with this. Now, I'm going to be doing a live stream tomorrow. I want to talk about this stuff because it's very, very interesting. Very interesting debate. I don't think there's a right or wrong. It's whether or not, at the end of the day, I think, do you really believe Carson Wentz is the future of this franchise? I do, and I'm going to stick with that. But we'll be doing this. We'll be talking about this tomorrow in a live stream. Please like, please comment, please subscribe, please ring that dingbat bell. That way, tomorrow when we're live, you won't miss a thing. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, and don't be a dingbat.